Hello guys and welcome to the final part of What If Deku Had Whitebeard's Powers Part 9, named Vigilante. And I know y'all gotta be excited, at least those of you who still want to continue watching this. But it will be relatively short compared to the others because it is overall the end. Still gonna be a fun ride though, so I hope you will enjoy. I'm gonna get into the recap in a few, but I just wanna say thank you for continuing to support the series. I love y'all so much, and I will be posting the full story soon if I actually feel like it. Last time I did this, it took at least like an entire day just to fucking export. So, I was a little bit pissed. But I kind of upgraded my space a little bit in Premiere Pro, so hopefully it'll take less time. But if it's too long, I'm just probably not gonna do it. Just go watch the playlist in that case. Alright, let me do the recap. Without any further ado, let's begin. So we began with the trio being woken up by Burnin as they went back to the streets for training, and this time Bakugo surpasses his limits and catches a criminal before Endeavor and Deku, leaving only Todoroki as the last one who has yet to surpass this challenge. After this, they then went to the Todoroki household and have quite an awkward dinner until Natsuo left because he just couldn't stay near his father. And as soon as he leaves the home, he meets Deku outside. They have a little talk until the trio and Endeavor then leave as well. On the way though, they saw a villain named Ending who captured Natsuo. They save him as Endeavor shows his sincerity and he tries to become a better father, and he tells Natsuo, who still hates him, but he acknowledges that Endeavor is trying. Later then, one day returns to the dorms. They have a little test, show their abilities against robots while All Might watches over them and in place of Aizawa because he was off doing something else. They show impressive moves as such. 3 months would then pass, and the raid to Jaku General Hospital would begin, and this is where Dr. Ujiko resides. The heroes raise the hospital while students and psychics wait to evacuate the people overall in this entire city, and other heroes would raid the Liberation Army stronghold, and students and psychics were over there as well, joining them in battle. When the attack begins, Ujiko is chased by heroes before then revealing that he was just a clone when he was attacked, and he just melted to nothing. And Nomus will start to rampage and actually kill this clone in the process. Miracle takes the fight to the real doctor, but she's attacked by high-end Nomus, and a fight then rages in the entire hospital. And while the others are evacuating, Sliding Go is also captured as a traitor working with the Liberation Army. All of a sudden, a wave of decay then spreads and kills some heroes as Deku barely stops it in time before it spreads even more, and Shigaraki awakens despite the heroes' best efforts, and he causes chaos and starts to fight with them, and he awakens Gigantomachia in his return. Endeavor is the first to attack the villain, but Deku soon joins, and when Shigaraki says to, bring him out because he wants his quirk, he comes to him, he's like, here I am, let's fight. He meets and they fight Shigaraki, but despite his best efforts, honestly, he destroys him. Shigaraki stood no chance. And by the time Bakugo and Miura arrive, he comes back with a huge. No, that's not how it went. By the time Bakugo and Miura arrive, this is when Shigaraki reawakens after his beating and leaves Deku with a huge scar across his torso. And then he launched at Miura because his instinct tells him to get one for all because he has all for one. Deku stops him and flings him to the sky. The heroes start to take care of everything until Shigaraki re-heals from his injuries using a healing sort of medicine that was made from Eri. And the three students, when they notice this, enraged, launched at him and attack him with combo moves from all sides. Then Deku takes the main charge and absolutely destroys him with a barrage of hockey attacks using a new move called Black Rush. And after he does so, Ida and Neji arrive, and this is when Gigantomachia does as well. And the two would warn the heroes, but as he arrives, Deku destroys him with his ultimate attack, ripping up the earth and even knocking out the villain's Adopter Giant, and this ends the fight. But then the villains disappear out of nowhere and go to Tartarus, as this puts All For One's plans into action. Days would pass, and the world changes with Endeavor secrets being put out in the world, as well as Hawks killing twice when it was actually just Toya framing him, aka Dabi. But this does break Endeavor a bit, and this puts Deku in a tight spot because all of this is just on him. Villains and Nomus have spread across Japan, and heroes start to quit. Things look bad. We will begin this part with a flashback with Aizawa and President Mike stepping into a room holding Kurogiri. With only glass blocking the three from each other, President Mike and Aizawa sit down, with Tsukayoshi saying, "Alright, there's still a chance, so I hope you can bring him back." Activating his eyes, Aizawa then awakens the Nomu, and those in the control room let this be known as Kurogiri then begins to speak. "Oh, you two. Haven't seen you in a while since we attacked the USJ. Is Master Tomura doing alright? How the hell should we know?" President Mike would ask, and Kurogiri says, "Ah, that's too bad. You're concerned about Shigaraki?" asks Aizawa. Kurogiri says yes, as it is his duty to look after him, to which President Mike says that sounds really stupid because Shigaraki is just a brat, but Kurogiri finds it to be something he has to do, just as his duty. I can't believe this is what happened to you, said Aizawa. Okay, out of us, I guess you were really the most empathetic. I saw you once pick up a stray, even though it was super dirty, and I told you not to. I do not understand the meaning of this, said Kurogiri. Aizawa, however, just kept speaking, saying, you were the brightest person I ever laid my eyes on, always marching, even when you knew there'd be consequences. And at this point, Kurogiri begins to sort of shift, and the control team takes notice of this. Aizawa then says, you know what's funny? I'm a teacher now. Yamada is too. I've been real strict with my students. I want our heroes to live longer and pull forward like you. If there's even a hint of you left in there, Shirakumo, let's be heroes again, together. As the seer starts to flow, the hazy cloud surrounding the Nomu clears to show half the face of the man that the two heroes once knew and called their best friend, leaving them and everyone shocked. President Mike will burst with tears, saying, fight it, please. This will be the end of the flashback. We then see Aizawa holding a letter in his hands, and it held the words of Izuku Midoriya, and as he stands in the living room of the UA dorms, Bakugo is the first to run out holding a letter as well. What the hell was that idiot thinking? Mineta then runs out as well, saying he got a letter from Deku, and slowly everyone runs out, realizing they received the same letter, as Momo would ask, Sensei, what should we do? Aizawa then asks, what did he say he was gonna do on that letter? You know how he is, says Todoroki, so of course he said he's gonna go destroy all the villains. I don't doubt he can, but he obviously shouldn't wear himself out. Did he not think about his mom? I don't know, said Aizawa. Finding themselves in a sort of slump, they start to worry for their classmate, friend, and student. Meanwhile, at home, Inko finds herself holding in her hand Deku's phone. On it is to record a message for him, from him that will begin to play as he says, so I'm leaving. You're probably really pissed at me already, but I'm not gonna come back. Not yet, at least. I made my choice, not because others want me to, but because I hate that bastard. Please don't be scared. If anything, I'm gonna destroy them, so if you can tell the other heroes not to get involved, I would like that. I'm tired of seeing people die. As she barely holds in her tears, the video then cuts out, and a knock is then heard at the her door, with her quickly running to it, and she sees through the hole that it was Masaru and Mitsuki. Quickly, she opened it, and is met by a hug from their mother, who would say, we just heard. I'm so sorry. When did he leave? Asked Masaru. Inko would say, I don't know exactly. I don't know. I just know I need to find him. Inko is not worried about Deku being the villains. On the contrary, all the people who know him know how powerful and overwhelming her son is, but she is worried that in due time, when left alone enough, his smile will be gone and he will be a former shell of himself, or overtaken by anger and despair, because in this type of place they're living in, this area, this world they've made with the war, everything is just dark and he will be forced to kill. I'm not even joking. I'm going brutal on this one. So we cut to 2 weeks later, and we find All For One bleeding out on the ground before Deku, who finds himself surrounded by the carcasses of villains in the city of Naruhata, one of the many places attacked by villains. This city was not only left melted by Dabi's flames, but decayed by Shigaraki, and had been through some real problems, and Deku would be covered with scars on the front of his body. So you won anyway. What a surprise, said All For One. But so what? You had to kill me to do it. As the villain says this, the siren of the police are heard, with Deku then turning to see Aizawa, and All Might run out. Aizawa would say, Midoriya, that's enough. You've been doing this back and forth with us for so long. Too long. Sukauchi then speaks on the speakers as he says, you will not be held for killing the villains. Do not worry. Just lay down your arms. I'm afraid that hammer of yours is quite worrisome. Deku now turns, having a giant mallet in his hand, which he had picked up along his travels, and as he faces the heroes, he looks around and sees the destroyed city he had fought this battle in. The rain pouring, the flowing blood into the sewers. Amongst all this, he sees Tomura and walks to him as he would pick him up and walk to the heroes. And the police soon come to see Deku had become even bigger than before. He was now at least a huge 12 feet tall when he approached them. And he would say, oh my, Eraser, been a while, where's Endeavor at? They were gonna chase Dabi, but it seems like you took care of that as well though, said All Might. Deku would then show a big smile, throwing the villain to Aizawa, who catches him and would fall to one knee as Deku begins to walk away. Sorry, I'm not done yet. The bastard still got villains all around, sir. Someone's gotta take care of them. By the way, he's alive. Be careful, he's just out cold. With this, Deku then holds out his hand as he would clench it, causing him to be launched into the sky by a small quake from below him at the speed of light. He's so big, but so fast. I guess that's what they call him, the giant, the police officer would be saying. In the past 2 weeks, Deku fought on his own, beating all villains until he reached the main boss. He was attacked by villains from all sides, but against all odds, won. Nothing stood in his way. No tricks or plans worked on him. He was injured, but it's because he's lower on stamina than usual. Like I said, Deku was a big eater. That factored a lot. But in the end, the villains attacked for nothing. But Deku was right. The job wasn't done. As he flew through the sky, he stopped himself with another crate as he then went to another direction using Skywalk, which is what he's named this move, and he bounced around the air, moving towards another city and back onto his journey. Just a bit more. A little bit more. Man, I'm hungry. However, he doesn't have time to complain and speeds up as he is then met by a high-end Nomu flying towards him, and it would turn to light particles and appear right in front of Deku with a kick. In that moment, he becomes trapped in a certain territory made of nothing but cracks as Deku would then clench his fist, making a huge tremor Quake Prison. And from inside, the Nomu is then bombarded by shockwaves until it is blown to nothing as Deku would then keep moving and his smile turns to that of a murderous gaze. Time skip 3 days. Zooming into a certain building, we find the people of a certain city talking to Shindo and Tatami. So they're sending kids out now? Well, you wasted your trip, just buzz off, said the leader of these people. As Shindo would then say, it's quite dangerous to stay here, your provisions won't last long. Please come take shelter at Ketsubutsu. And what y'all gonna do when everyone's gathered in one spot and villains decide to attack? The students don't know how to answer, but the group then saying they've learned their lesson. A man's gotta fend for himself, so we're gonna do it just like the giant, said the leader. Midoriya's inspired them, but too much. This isn't gonna work, thought Shindo. The two are then forced to go back out into the streets, with Shindo then getting pissed and losing his business smiles. He would say, I swear, if we were allowed to crumble that freaking building, and they're making this so hard for no reason. I said it was gonna suck, said Tatami, but at least things are calming down, right? Nothing's ever gonna be the same though, said Shindo. Pro heroes have to quit to the point where they're sending us out. Tatami then receives a call from their two other friends patrolling the city, and she picks it up as her eyes widen when she hears their warning. There's a jailbreaker heading over. Shindo, hearing this, would get on guard as he and Tatami then look around and they start to hear screams, and as they look up, the jailbreaker would rip through a building and then be going towards them, and as they would leap off the building, Muscular would then land right in front of the two as a shockwave pushes them back. Alright, let's play a bit, he would say. Shindo then takes out a dagger as he tells Tatami to evacuate the citizens, and as she runs off, she asks what he's gonna do. I'm gonna demolish him, he would answer. Muscular would then attack, throwing a punch as Shindo barely dodges, getting a hit on the side as he would then stab his knife into his arm before then vibrating it as he would rip off some fibers, but more would just form in its place as he's then thrown into a building, and as he crashes into it, he spews blood. Muscular would then run and grab him by the face as he leaps the opposite way, and while mid-air, Shinzo will be using his quirk over and over until he is slammed right into a building beside the one where the civilians were hauled up. Tatami reached the civilians, but they didn't listen. They didn't want to listen to her. And as he is forced down, however, Shindo only smiles, saying, "Get the hell off me." "Man, you're boring," said Muscular. "Your quirk ain't gonna do anything on me. I got hundreds and thousands of muscle layers." His body would then begin to tremble as he would twitch in pain, with him releasing his grip as he feels overwhelming pain. "A little trick I learned from Mydoria," says Shindo. Muscular, hearing that name, would smile, saying, "Even this for people who won't stop talking about that bastard." "Fine, then I'll just bulk up." His muscles would grow more and more, turning him into a monstrous creature, while Shindo would be dragging himself back with his left hand while holding his other hand out. "No!" screamed Tatami from the other building as she watched Muscular about to attack and kill her boyfriend. They're actually dating. When he's then blown away by an explosion, with Bakugo making himself known as he would land right in front of Shindo. "Sorry we're late," he would say. Shindo would say, "Wait, are you all here? Did you bring them?" As he asked this, past him and Bakugo, a flash of lightning would go, and Muscular, as he gets up on the ground disoriented, would then have Mirror appear right in front of him as he would then slam a punch into his stomach, blowing away his muscles. Lemillion would then move at incredible speed, kicking through Muscular with his permeation, while still technically attacking him. Think of it as Luffy punching Kaido in the new fight, If those of you who've read One Piece up to the point that it is right now in the manga will know what I'm talking about. It's like that. He's punching through Muscular, but also not doing it. He's literally ripping through his stomach, but he's not leaving any damage. It's just a lot of trauma on his muscles. And then he appeared on the other side as he would elbow the villain in the back, and he would be sent flying just as Todoroki would then land before him as he would hold back his fist, and his flames would form but turn blue before he then met the villain with the punch to his stomach. And as the hit impacts Muscular, he is sent flying into the air as he would spew nothing but blood, with his body then turning blue as he began to freeze over, which shouldn't be happening, but Todoroki's learned a few things over the past, days. From inside the building, the civilians cannot help but marvel at these kids. Clearly, they don't want to rely on heroes anymore, but aside from Deku, the giant, these three have been the reason why villains have been taken down so much more. and they were the top, new top 3 of UA. The villain would then thud to the ground completely beaten, with Bakugo landing down as he would hold Shindo, and Lemon would then say, "You think we went a bit far?" "Maybe a little," said Todoroki. Tatami at this point then runs in, hugging Shindo with tears in her eyes, as she would say, "You idiot, why did you just run?" "I lived, didn't I?" he would say. Bakugo then asks if he can stand on his own, and as he nods, Bakugo will slowly let him down, and at that moment he hears something over his comms, and he would say, "Alright, we gotta move out." He looks up at the civilian saying, "You can die here or listen, I don't care which, but you ain't gonna last here long, alone at least." The two Ketsubutsu students are surprised by Bakugo's tone and the way that he talked, because it sounded more sophisticated, rugged, yet commanding, with the leader of the group then saying, "Can we talk about it?" "Sure, but you're gonna have to go to another shelter so we can safely contact you," said Bakugo. Todoroki then looks back at the other students, saying that a police car will be riding by soon, so they can go back to the school that way. He then starts walking off, as do the others, with Shindo then asking, "Did he come back yet?" "Hell no," said Bakugo. "That is probably still on his bullshit." We then cut back to UA's dorms, however, as the three would then arrive to see Deku eating, surrounded by everyone, and that includes his mom. "What the hell are you doing back here?" Bakugo asks, and Deku would say, "Oh, hi." Bakugo would then grab his grenade glove and throw it to the ground as he marches up to Deku. "What the hell is wrong with you? And when did you get this tall?" Deku then stays quiet, only smiling, as Bakugo's rage would then slowly calm itself, and he would grab his head. "Oh, of course you do this shit. Of course you would." Sarah would then say, "Calm down, Captain," and Bakugo would say, "Don't call me that. You guys are just as annoyed as me. I had to even keep Aoyama locked." "Wait a minute, what are you doing here?" Aoyama, who had been found to be an accomplice of All For One, though not willingly, was kept at UA for questioning, but with Deku having beaten All For One, the boy was now freed, and Aoyama would say, "Well, Mydoria ripped me out of prison, saying I looked hungry." "Stop breaking into places," said Bakugo. "Wow, you sound like a real leader," said Deku. "That's all your fault." "Aren't you mad, Miss Mydoria?" Bakugo asked. Ingo would say, "Oh, he's getting a huge earful after this, trust me, but I'm gonna appreciate this while he's still here." "Oh, hey, about that, want to join my agency? I'm making one," said Deku. "Agency?" asked Lemillion. "How can you do that?" Yeah, no one can consider us kids anymore," said Deku. "Honestly, forget that. School, everything. I think we've been through way too much to not be considered heroes, don't you think?" Miro would then say, saying, "It's good to know that the hard times haven't changed you." Deku would then smile, saying, "I talked to the Hero Association for a bit. I got a good deal. You can still be captain if you want to." Bakugo would say, "Nah, screw that. I was waiting for you to come back. Seriously though, you do this type of shit again, I will blow you to pieces." Hearing this, Deku would then grow a big smile, saying, "You guess you better keep an eye on me then." The door in the dorms would then be open, with Eri then running in, accompanied by Aizawa, as she would have tears in her eyes, and she runs to Deku and hugs his leg. Deku would then pick her up and put on her shoulders, as he would ask, "You miss me?" She would nod while still crying, and Deku would apologize for leaving, as he also looks to Aizawa, saying, "Hi, Sensei." "Yeah, just so we're clear on this, you will be punished," said Aizawa. "That's fine with me." We then have a flashback to Deku standing before the Hero Association. The men and women find it hard to speak in front of what should only be a child, but his imposing stature and stare intimidated them. Deku was no longer just a kid. "So, what do we owe the pleasure?" they asked, and Deku would sit as he lays down his hammer. "Let me make an agency." "An agency? But that's too early. Do you have a better option?" "I figure you don't know how hard it's been, considering, we've been busy busting our asses to keep you safe, but things are not exactly getting better just because All For One is gone." "Well, what are the conditions?" "What do you mean conditions? We can't do this." "Listen, forget that. We're at a breaking point, alright? We can at least hear him out." With a sigh, they all then look to Deku, who says, "I want to make a crew with all my classmates. Don't really know about 1B or other heroes, but doesn't matter. I'm a hero through and through. If no one will, then we'll save Japan itself alone." He says it with such confidence that the members can't really deny it, and at least with him on their side, they can certainly stop all of this, and as such, they agreed. 3 days later, as night falls in the city of Naruhata, a mutant quirk user walks through the pouring rain with her umbrella. She had fur and distinctly looked like an animal despite being a humanoid, a literal human, but most importantly, she was tall and a bit impulsive, so out of nowhere, she is blown back by a violent splash of water, and she lets go of her umbrella as she shows a look of fear. 2 people will be shooting at her while she tries to protect herself, as one of them would say, "You must be one of those Nomus, huh?" "What? No, I'm just walking. Please stop." However, as they begin to throw and just attack, she tries to stop herself and just starts to cry more and more, and this is when the men feel overwhelming pressure hit them, as a light will then also blind them, and as they close their eyes, the woman would then turn to see the light being flashed by Hagakure, and out then walks Deku from the shadows, easily towering over her, and the men become horrified and terrified. The terrified men then realize who was standing before them as Deku then walked to the woman and apologized for them being late. Hakuri then stops flashing the light, and a car was strolled up. As it stops, and it was an armored car named Yue, and it had a smiling logo on it, obviously representing Deku. And from it then jumps out Momo, who runs over, creating a large tarp that she hands to Deku, and Deku would then cover the lady with it. "Thank you. Sorry, I was late to evacuate," she'd say. "Don't worry about it. Also, I'm way younger. You can talk normally to me." She then has a look of shock, but also is finding it hard to believe that the giant was just really a kid, and Deku then told Momo and Hakure to take her to safety. And as they nod, he walks up to the men. "You're under arrest." And the men would say, "What? Now you want to act like a hero?" "Shut the hell up," said Deku. "Did you or did you not attack an innocent civilian when told multiple times she was simply walking? You're no better than villains, so shut the hell up." As the lady is put in the car, Momo would then say, "That's pretty harsh, isn't it?" "Do you disagree?" asked Deku. "No, Captain. So, straight to Tsukauchi, right?" she would ask. The men then instantly lose consciousness and fall to the ground as Deku then turns, saying, "Yep. Man, how long is this going to be pouring for?" As he looks to the skies, he hopes these times will soon come to an end, and his wish would come true. After working hard for 2 years, Japan finds its way to return to normal, or about as normal as a core society or country can get. After showing their obvious prowess, some kids immediately graduate after taking a test, and they become heroes. Deku's agency stays up, and he and his class stay as a crew helping out and soon becoming the driving force towards Japan regaining its full glory. This leads to Deku becoming the strongest hero, as the world had never been able to see something as amazing as him, and he makes it to be the top hero in Japan as well. Mirio is number 2, as he was able to complete his goal, saving 1,000,000 people. Now, having multiple quirks is not really that big of a deal to people. Like, he saved them. Screw that stuff, you know? Like, he's a hero. Bakugo and Todoroki tie at 3rd place. All Might now worked with the police and his best friend Tsukauchi, and never actually retired and became a stay-at-home dad to make up for all this trouble he had caused. And Dabi never came back though. His fight with Deku left him dead. As for Shigaraki, you guys can think of whatever you think happened to him, but he's never gonna fight again. However, Shirakumo did come back to because of Deku's conquer spirit. Now he was back into being in the business, but he wasn't a hero. He became a police officer along with Tsukauchi and All Might, because the experiments actually left his quirk freaking dead. And Shigaraki, you know what? Nah. Shigaraki was killed. I'm sorry. Nah. That nigga was killed, bro. Nah. He killed. Nah. The thought just kept coming back in my head. He killed, bro. He killed. I'm sorry. He killed. He caused way too much pain, bro. He killed like millions at least. Alright. The whole experience also taught people the importance of not, like, thinking too much about quirks, because when the war came, people with quirks were too scared to even fight, even though they called themselves amazing. But those without quirks stepped up and became vigilantes and survivors. That leader in that little moment with Shindo and Tatami, he had no quirk, but he became very, very dependable. So from there on out, it was about skills and the ability to survive and also train. And people, like to say, began to become heroes. Those, despite having weak quirks or no quirks at all, they all trained to become heroes. You could be an adult or a kid, but they were accepted and had a bit of help due to someone like Mei, who was now one of the best engineers of Japan despite her young age. And then 30 years would pass. Eri and Koda went to UA, by the way. The new generation already taking their step into heroism. Deku married Uraraka, and they had a girl named Vida. When she came to be old enough, at the age of 12, Deku and Uraraka brought her to meet her grandmother. Standing in front of a cemetery, Vida held flowers as she would put them down on Iko Midoriya's grave, and she would then turn and ask, "Alright, I did it. Can we go now?" Uraraka would kneel down asking if she was okay. It's okay to say if you're not. Vida had known Inko before she actually died, and went off into a period to adjust because she was very sad, like it was her grandmother. But she would say, "I need to move forward," or "Grandma would be sad, right?" Deku would then offer her, saying, "Good, that means you're ready to train." Vida answers by saying yes as her eyes would be twinkling, but Uraraka said, "Oh, no, you two are not going to shake the house." "Then we'll train outside," said Vida, as she would raise her hands in the air, and she would then turn them blue and yellow into flames, and they would then take the shape of wings, and she would then fly into the sky and pass the two, Rebecca then telling her that they'll just go to a nearby forest later. "Okay," she would say as she flies back to the car, and Deku and Uraraka then start walking back, and this is when Uraraka would ask Deku if he was okay. With a smile, Deku would then pick her up, saying, "It's fine. I could be smiling because of her." And this is the end of the series. I hope you have enjoyed this part, and more importantly, this series, but it has come to an end. Unfortunately. Also, not many people probably watch this part because, like I said, spoilers in the title. Yeah, it is what it is. If y'all don't want to watch it because it's got spoilers, I don't blame you. But MHA is like, this is the best time to start reading the manga. Go read the manga. Like, shit should be getting better soon. Horikoshi's being rushed to finish the story, so that kind of sucks. But if he wasn't, then this would have been like way better than, honestly. It's already awesome, but it could be better. That's what I'm saying. Alright, I'm gonna go record the movie for y'all. I got you. I'm gonna start the war. It's getting fun to finish this again. I thought I might end up giving up on the series. I am not. Good. That's a good thing. We good. We fired up. Alright. Peace. I'm gone.